Hey, PJ here. Let's talk about particle sizes and masks. This right here is a physio ball, exercise ball. We're going to call that a dust particle. Now we go over here and we've got a smaller ball that is about the size of a smoke particle. There's a COVID particle. So the dust particle is about 25 microns. The smoke particle is 1 micron, COVID 0.1 microns. Now, we're going to pretend COVID is 1 micron because the COVID virus doesn't travel by itself very often. It's usually on a water droplet, and those are about 1 micron. Now, you can see a dust particle with the naked eye. You can't see a smoke particle with the naked eye, and you can't see individual vapor particles, moisture particles with the naked eye either that might be transporting COVID. We're going to talk about that a little bit with face masks and the particle sizes and the filtering because I have a microscope. And what I have in here is my dust mask. And as you can see, there's big holes. You can see the light coming through those big holes because dust masks are meant to trap those big dust particles. So that's the dust mask. Let's look at the cotton mask. You can see really big holes. Now this is 2 layers. So this is going to trap some moisture, but check it out. When I'm wearing this, because it's 2 layers, when I inhale, watch the mask. It sucks into my face because the air is restricted moving through it because it's double layer. So now if I push it close and make a seal around it, I can't even breathe. It's like smothering under a pillow. Air's not going to be going through this. Now, water and air act the same way, and Physics 101 says water and air has to follow the path of least resistance. So what's the least resistance? Is it to go through this thick material that I would smother in? Or is it going to be going around all these other places? I can feel it, and you can feel it too when you wear a mask. It's going in and out of here. So there's no filtering going on, and 2 masks is going to make it worse. So let's look at a surgical mask. To focus in, see light coming through those holes? It might capture dust if the air was going through it, but it's not going to capture moisture molecules that have COVID in them. So now when I'm wearing the surgical mask, even if I do the best I can, cramming that little metal plate down tight as I can, that doesn't do any good because the air is still going to follow the path of least resistance. It's not going through it. It's going to go around it. Anyone can feel that happening when they're wearing a mask. There's no filtering going on. So how do we get filtering? Well, let's just talk about filters in general. So I have set up some smoke filters in the club here because in Washington, in the Seattle area, last week we had smoke from wildfires coming in. The air quality was unhealthy. We have an amazing HVAC system in here that filters that stuff out, but I wanted to go above and beyond, and so I set up some DIY filters, and this is what it looks like. So it's a regular box fan. It's a 20-inch filter that you just tape to the back. So you could see here, we focus in, those are big old holes. Now this is small enough to capture smoke, and the shape of it and the layers and all that stuff, that's great. So this could capture some COVID only because it's traveling in a water particle. If COVID's by itself, this is going to fly right through. It's like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. And this is level 13. So this is way more filtration than a mask. And I had to tape these things tight to the back of that and fit them perfectly. And then when this fan is on, full blast, there's 10% air coming out of this side, but it's still doing something. And after about 3 days, that filter is starting to discolor because it is capturing some smoke. So are you going to wear one of those? I don't think so. You couldn't even, and you'd have to get a seal like I'm doing with tight seal in that fan, and the fan's sucking it in, and it's like a big, huge monster inhale the whole time, which you can't do. And 10% of the air is coming out of a normal if I didn't have that on there, which means you would also suffocate. So Let's look at respirators, shall we? Luke, I am your father. So this is a respirator, and the thing that makes it a respirator is it has a seal. It's a rubber seal. It's a really good seal. And as you can see, when I inhale, the air's coming through these suckers. You can see them pull in. Now, the exhale is coming out of the valve, but the inhale is coming through these because this is a one-way valve. Respirators actually work with filtration where the masks don't because everything is just flying out the sides, or it's going through too easily because it's just a dust mask with big, huge holes. Look how thick it is. Okay, there's lots and lots of layers, and it's way better filtration than any cloth mask on the market. So let's take a look at this, shall we? I'm going to slide it in here. Now look, when we get up, it's too thick. There's too many layers. Let's put it right in the middle where the thing is, and let's see if we can push it down and trying to get some light to come through. And when I compress all the layers super hard, then I can barely start to see some light, and I don't see any holes. So this would work to protect you. It's not going to protect others because it's got that exit valve, but it will help protect you better than an N95 because an N95 is still going to leak. But how many people are doing this? And it's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient, and good Lord. So there you go. Masks, particle sizes, and now to finish off, check out this great demonstration. Again, you can't see individual particles of moisture, but you can see the moisture, general moisture, so I skipped to the good part.
Remember, we want to stop this moisture that's coming out of our mouth because that's what COVID rides on.
There's a cloth mask.
There's one.
There's none going through it, so let's try two.
There's two.
And it's worse. It just pushes it out more, just like I told you.
With a cloth mask.
There's an N95, still going out the sides because it's not sealing with a rubber seal like mine does.
There's a cloth mask on the N95?
And there's a cloth mask, and it's just the same. It's just coming out the sides. And here's another site here, WebMD. N95 respirator masks fit tightly around your face. They filter out 95% or more of the smallest particles in the air, but they have to fit just right in order to work. And then it goes down to surgical masks. These masks shield against the large droplets that come from a sick person's cough or sneeze. That's why surgeons wear them, so they're not coughing and sneezing into their patients while they're operating on them. And then it goes on to say, but they're too loose to protect against all germs, and they can't block the tiniest particles that may carry coronavirus. There's a ton of research out there on whether masks work or not to stop viruses, and you can probably guess what it says, but here's just physics. This is just physics. It's a deflector, but it's not a filter. And if this demonstration wasn't enough to convince you of that, I can't help you anymore. So my recommendation is if you're around too many Karens or you're forced to wear a mask, the surgical masks are going to let the most air around and out. And so that's going to be the least restrictive as far as oxygen and buildup of CO2. And the dust masks are you can blow right through those suckers. So that's another good way to do it. And the face shields are going to be the best option because that's just non-restrictive at all. Any of these have to be disinfected every day because otherwise then it just becomes a germ factory that gets worse and worse and worse. And then you're going to make yourself sick. And also as they accumulate moisture, they get more restrictive. And so if you do have any kind of a seal that works at all, then it's going to be harder to breathe through it. And the way that I found out about the respirators and the different filtration levels and what to do to filter out germs is because I'm a researcher and heck, I'm certified actually with clinical stuff. And so I'm just a science nerd. That's why I have my own microscope. So when I researched it, I found out, this was more than a decade ago when I found all this stuff out. So I go back quite a ways, and that's how I discovered all of these facts. So hopefully this helped, and you can be healthier because of it.
And that's all I have to say about that.